So here's the Steve G. Jones 650K Real Estate Investment Strategy version 2, which answers all the questions from version 1 and makes things hopefully more easier, understandable, and accessible. So this is what I would do with $650,000 for more or less maximum benefit. Now there's a couple more places where we can squeeze the money out and make it work harder, but I thought this was a nice little balance from it being safe and secure and non-stress versus we could take it a notch up actually. But anyways, so here it goes. Let me, as I go, hopefully I can answer all the questions, but if I forgot any, I have a list here next to me where I've noted them all, so I will answer them if I forget something. So we have 3 types of investments of real estate for you selected, and you had that right to begin with, and I just hid everything that we don't need to see right now, but I'm going to unhide it so you can see it, because the reason you had a lot of those questions is because you couldn't see what I hid. But let's just go one by one. So first one is long-term easy rentals, second one is mixed-use properties, and third is one primary residence home. And the second goal one where you talked, and the second goal ones where you said, are those the kinds where I just call them and tell them, hey, I want to use them myself for blah, blah, blah week, keep them free for me, and the rest of the time they're rented? That's exactly that. You can use single family homes, you can buy condos, you can buy whatever it is that you want. And yes, essentially it is having a timeshare, but you're actually the owner versus just the buyer of that little week or 2 weeks. You actually own it the whole time. The advantage of that is you have complete control and you can do with it whatever you want. The disadvantage is that you're also responsible for the real estate, but that can be mitigated by choosing good real estate that you don't have to worry about it being rented or being stressful and have it managed and everything. So anyway, that's pretty much kind of what I'm doing now. I have, as you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Airbnb houses now in different areas, and I use them as I please. I have management. I manage my own schedule. Of course, somebody else could do that for me too, but I know when I'm going to be where, and I'll make sure that it's available for me when I want it. And the rest of the time it's rented when I don't use it. And they're all, like I said, all furnished, all have utilities, all have cable, power, all that stuff that you need. And maintenance people that take care of it or even take care of it when I'm not there. So yes, that is what number 2 is. And let me just start right here in the middle. Sorry, I'm starting in the middle here, but let's just format and unhide so you can see. Basically what I chose, I made this a lot simpler and I kind of color coded it so you can see because they all look the same. I would have chosen units that cost $200,000 each with 20% down on each and approximately 5% closing costs, which means for each one that you buy, you would have to have $50,000 in cash. These are all your expenses. This is what you'll expect to get, which is 10%, which is what Jason Hartman says is a good investment. So we're going to have to find properties that match those numbers. And basically your delta, your cash outflow, which is what you're worried about, it is 0 because all of this is 2,000 and you get 2,000. So you break even, there's no cash out of your pocket except for this down payment which you're trying to invest. Now the depreciation for the real estate for those properties is this much per year. I think one of the questions was, does that carry over? Does it always carry over? I think you said, and for years and years, how many years out? The tax code says that real estate is depreciated over 27.5 years. Now, you are, I think, 48. So in 27 years, you'll be 40, 50, 60. I got 60. I'm really bad. I gotta get my calculator. So, anyways, which doesn't even matter, but let me just do that. And you'll be about 76 years old. So yes, each one of those properties that you buy today is depreciated over 27.5 years. For those 27.5 years, depreciation expenses accumulated each year. For this kind of property, it's 7,200 whatever per year, and it gets carried over each year, which means in the first year it's 7,000, and the second year it's 14,000, then it's 21,000, and so on and so forth, all the way until it's completely depreciated, which is the $200,000. Now, you probably won't keep them that long anyway, so that calculation doesn't matter. But the point is that however, the longer you hold it, the more accumulated depreciation you have, and then you would basically figure out how much estimated taxes you would have to pay that year and sell off from this whole combination of properties that you have, your portfolio at that time, whichever ones that you choose, to break even on your tax bill. That's what I would do. Now I got rid of the other category because it actually just evens itself out, because you're going to have appreciation and additional expenses and maybe more income than expenses. Anyways, it'll all even itself out, so I just got rid of that category completely. But you do get this depreciation expense, which is in addition to all this other stuff. So basically, I envision these $200,000 units to be condos. Let's say they're condos. This is just my assumption. You can change it however you want. But if you have condos or even single-family homes that you furnish and that you keep furnished for rental when you're not there, you can actually depreciate the stuff inside there. You can depreciate each spoon, each plate, each pillowcase, each piece of furniture, anything and everything that's over $100. Well, actually, anything under $100 you can expense it. Everything over $100 you can depreciate it depending on what kind of asset it is. So furniture has so many years. I don't know, TV has so many years, and a washer has so many years, and a dryer has so many years. So there's schedules for this in the IRS tax code. So somebody that furnishes those units for you, or if they're already furnished, would have to take an inventory of everything that's in there, and it would be listed on your tax return. Each item that's in there is going to be depreciated. And that will give you additional depreciation. The one thing that I don't know, and this is something you can ask your CPA, is if those small stuff type depreciation expenses can be taken by you because of your income level. Again, I'm not an expert in your income level because I don't have that income level yet, but that's a really simple question to a CPA who can answer that for you. In any case, you have an extra, let's say maybe $2,000. That being said, probably you have like some really nice furniture in there that you put in there. Or maybe it's already in there and it's inventoried as part of the real estate. So, and the cool thing about that is too, is you can, even if you put stuff in there that you already own, and you don't have receipts for it, I don't know, again, this is a CPA question, you will have to, you can actually use as your basis whatever the market value of that item is, and you have to look it up in the marketplace, you know, wherever that item is being sold. So if a couch cost you, I don't know, $2,000, then, and that couch can be depreciated over 5 years, you can take a $400 tax deduction on that couch that year. And that is money off your taxable income, and that it goes for each item in that house, everything. Even if you like put on a new roof or make other improvements, all that stuff is depreciated over time as well. You put in new flooring, let's say you put in $3,000 new flooring, that's also depreciated over time, and everything has a schedule. So let me not get distracted. So let's talk about depreciation of the actual real estate, the house and the land, the house and the land itself, the actual real estate. And you were right, these are just numbers I threw out there. You can buy 3 of those, 5 of those, 10 of those. This is how much cash you need for 3, 5, or 10, and this is how much accumulated depreciation you have for just 1 year. That's just 1 year. So that means if you buy 3 properties and depreciation for 1 year is that, well, in year 2, if you don't sell the property, you have that times 2, or you have that times 3, or you have that times 4. And so let's say you sell these 3 properties at the end of year 4, you got almost $90,000 in depreciation expense you can take. I wouldn't recommend to sell all 3 of them because obviously you need something to travel to. But again, once you have this portfolio of, I think I could recommend it to you, 11 or 12 properties, you can figure out each year which one you're going to sell. It's kind of like Monopoly, very much. And I love Monopoly, by the way. I always win. Except for my oldest son. He's getting pretty good at it also. Anyway, so let's hide this again because this only applies to the mixed-use properties that I have, the second goal. And you can adjust the numbers however you want, but you can see that I chose from this category 5 of those. And let me just go ahead and format row hide. And let's go to this first one, which are your long-term rentals. And again, the data there will be for just one, and you can multiply it however many units that you need right here. And then this exactly same setup, 5% closing cost. I went with $129,000 each is because I'm selling one of those right now for that price. And it's an excellent investment, by the way. You should buy it. With a 20% down, you would need this much cash with closing costs. And this is what the expenses that you would have. I know these expenses for sure because I have them right now. And this is about the rent that you could get for a long-term rental. I get a lot more rent than this because I was a vacation rental for me. But you can easily make 2 or 3 times this much with vacation rentals. But the point of that all of it is there's again no cash outflow, no expenses you have to pay right now because your delta will be 0. Everything that you make, everything that you have to pay, you'll make back in rent, so there's 0. But you again have the depreciation expense, and it's about $4,700 per year. You take that when sold each year. Again, with 3 units, it's this much, 5 this much, 7 this much, 10 this much, and if you just sell 3 in year 2, you can see how the numbers grow very quickly. And again, you can choose to sell one of this green category and one of the yellow, or however you want it. You know, you can do it however you wish. And in any case, even if you hold on to them and only sell 1 a year, you have all these other ones that are still sitting there. Use some more investment money to put, or actually you're probably going to get some cash back actually when you sell them because you put in 20%, so you're going to get your 20% back on the cash, and use that to buy another one. So you just keep the pipeline going. So in the essence, this is exactly the same as this right here, except for you don't have the depreciation expense on the stuff because these are units that we rent to families. They'll have their own stuff, they'll pay for their own utilities, and they basically just get an empty cold house to themselves to use, and they'll pay you this much in rent per month. And again, I tried to make the numbers match to what Jason Hartman says. $129K each yields you 10% rent. That's a good investment. And we have to just find properties that match those numbers for you, however many that you wish to have. So I'm going to hide this again. Row hide. Let's go to your personal home here, right here. Row unhide. So on your personal home, and I know you had some questions about this. Again, 5% closing costs down. That's just kind of normal. It's a $400,000 home, so no, it's not $1 million, it's $400,000. I chose for you to put down 40%. And the reason I did that, I mean, I could have chosen 20, I could have chosen 10. I'm sure your bank will actually give you a loan for 100% with the credit rating and the amount of assets that you have to back a loan like this, so you can do whatever you want. The cool thing about being wealthy is the banks love you and they do whatever they want for you. For commoners like myself, I would have to put down, a lot of money. So anyway, so let's put down 40%. That's with the 5% closing cost, $180,000 cash that's needed. Again, you can change this. You pay the mortgage, the maintenance, the repairs, the HOA if there is one, utilities, and all of that you would pay with this house would be the same as what you're paying right now. I think you said you're paying $2,200. So the difference is again none. No additional money outflow. You would buy only one property, you need this much cash. This would be your interest deduction, and the reason this is so low, I know you had a question about this, is because your actual loan is only going to be for 60% of the $400,000. So let's just do this really quick. That's about $240,000. So the loan is only $240,000, and this would be your interest for that kind of loan. And again, I assumed 4% interest rate on all of these. I don't know what the interest rate is right now, but it's probably right around that. Now you can deduct this interest, and you can also take a tax deduction, and that is actually part of this right here. But you can, on your personal tax return, you can deduct the taxes that you pay on a primary residence and the interest that you pay on a mortgage on your primary residence, and that's these two numbers right here. So what I'm arguing with you is you probably would say, hey, this is an interest expense that I don't have right now. Why should I take a loan? Well, you're actually paying $2,200 right now. You're not getting any deductions for that. The rent that you're paying at that condo at Signature Towers in Las Vegas, that rent there is going nowhere. It goes into somebody else's equity. It goes into somebody else's tax savings. It goes poof, it's gone. So might as well just buy your own house and get a bank to finance it for you, so you have the maximum amount of use of your dollars and only put a minimum amount out in cash, and still get this interest deduction for this amount that you pay. So let's hide this as well, unless you have more questions. We can go back. Format, row, hide. So we have $650,000 in cash. These three, if I choose one primary home, 5 mixed-use properties, and 7 long-term easy rentals, your initial cash outflow would need to be $655,000. I probably would adjust these two numbers a little bit lower, so you have a little bit of a, maybe like a, I mean, this is something you can do if you wanted to, but if this was Julia, I would want to have maybe $50,000 in cash reserves for my real estate portfolio, just in case something happens. In case you have, I don't know, a roof that needs to be replaced or whatnot, I don't know. Even so, $50,000 is way more than plenty that's needed. Just kind of have a budget going for anything in addition. This is the depreciation that's taken when a home is or sold as needed per year. This is per year, and these are the amounts from all your easy rentals and from your mixed-use properties added together for 1 year. And let me show you again where that is, because I don't want to be confusing. I want to make sure you understand this. Oh, no, that's not what I wanted to do. Undo insert rows and go to format, row, unhide. That's what I wanted to do. Okay, so this amount right here, the depreciation expense, is actually the depreciation that's accumulated with 5 mixed-use properties in 1 year and 7 easy rentals. Again, these are the numbers that I chose. Actually, I chose this one, and I chose that one, and I chose this single one here for this combination, but you can do whatever you want and play with the numbers. So that is explaining that, but let me go through your questions to make sure that I have everything. Carry over, I answered that. Yes, it carries over for 26, actually it's 27 and a half years. Let me check. Yeah, 27 and a half years. The second question was on your personal home. I answered that question. It's 40% down. The house is $400,000. On the third question, yes, mixed use properties. You basically tell them, I want to go there this and this week. Keep it free for me. And the rest of the time, rent it out so I can break even. Next question was, you didn't know what accumulated cash expenses are, and that's just depreciation, so I changed that here, accumulated depreciation. I took out the non-cash expenses because there's kind of like a wash. You have interest expenses, but then you also have other expenses that can pop up. I don't know, you know, maybe like fire protection. Like for example, where I live, I have to pay for the fire department. I have to pay for flood insurance. These are like extra expenses that you may have. I don't know what they are, for depends on what properties we choose. So it's kind of like a wash, and then you have appreciation of the property and amortization. So you have an additional income and an additional outflow, so it kind of washes. So I just got rid of it. Your actual expenses you wanted to know. Well, we're going to choose the properties that will give you no outflow expense, no cash outflow expenses. As you can see, it shows 0 here, 0 here, and even on your personal home, even though you are going to be paying for that, it's no difference from what you're paying now. And we're going to choose properties that match this setup. So we're not going to match your setup to the properties. We're going to find properties that fit this. So it's gonna fit. And your actual expenses, you can see them up here and up here and up here. And again, no cash outflow. So and you wanted to know the bad news, bad part of actual tax advantages. You're not going to have a, you asked me, am I not going to have any tax advantages for 5 years? No. You can have tax advantages after 1 year. You're going to have to start, though, at some point. You're not going to have any tax advantages from day one because depreciation does take time to accumulate. And you can probably realize depreciation expenses in the first year. And for sure, just to set up this right here, you're going to have expenses that you can deduct because part of your closing costs that you're paying up here are tax deductible. And again, this is a CPA question, and I always get confused because I don't buy houses very often that have actual mortgages. But there's a whole bunch of stuff on your closing statement that you would have to pay for in closing costs, and a bunch of that is tax deductible. I think it's prepaid interest, prepaid taxes, title surge, and all this other crap that's part of this 5%. All of that's tax deductible. So you have tax advantages right away, especially if you buy this many properties in 1 year. But the point is to start small and to start building up to this level right here. So basically in the first year, buy 2 of these, buy 3 of these, buy this one. Then the next year, buy another one. Or you can buy them all at once. It's up to you. You know, it's just, it's going to be a hassle for a year or two to set it up. But once it's set up, it's gonna work beautifully. Next question. Yeah, I got rid of the interest expense. Don't worry about that. You do have interest expense depreciation, but it's part of what your rent pays for, so don't worry about that. Oh, the last thing, and no, that's not the last thing. One thing I did mention to you right here, that what you're paying right now is the same what you'd be paying with this particular house if you purchased it for yourself. But the big difference right here is this right here. You don't get these deductions now. You don't get an interest deduction. You don't get a tax deduction. And your money is just sitting in the bank right now, not doing anything. At least it's going to be doing something for you here. Because the money that you paid for rent right now is not tax deductible anywhere. Unless you're conducting some sort of business inside that condo, by the way, and you do, because you actually make some of your recordings in there, I would recommend that you speak to your CPA again and ask him how much of your current rent expenses can be deducted on your tax return. It's kind of stupid, and it's like a little penny pinching, but you could theoretically use one room or part of one room anyways, as a recording studio, and it's tax deductible. Your rent will be tax deductible, as well as your condo fees and all the other crap you pay in that fancy place where you live. Okay, one thing I did not consider, and this is not one of your questions, but and I didn't mention it before, but if you decide to choose to buy any of those properties and you decide, hey, I got this much depreciation expenses in the first year, I want to realize some of that. I want $20,000 of this after year one. Just keep in mind that you also have to pay for selling a property. Now, you wouldn't have to pay closing costs, or maybe even part. It depends on the negotiation with the buyer, but you would have to pay for a real estate agent to list the property for you, and they typically charge anywhere between 5 and 6%. So what we would have to do to remedy that is choose any of these properties. They need to be chosen that they so that they appreciate by at least 5 or 6% each year. So that way the selling price will offset the selling costs if you choose to sell any of these properties that year. And if that doesn't make sense to you and you have more questions, please ask me. I really, really want to be able to explain this to somebody, anybody, that it's really easy to understand. And I know sometimes I talk in circles and it's hard to understand and follow what I'm saying, but it's really, really, really clear in my head, but sometimes I'm struggling to bring it across that clear. So anyways, for more tips like this and for your own personalized real estate investment strategy, go to my website. It's juliamspencer.com. M stands for money. Download your free guide to real estate investing there and sign up for my newsletter.
For your free guide to real estate investing, visit juliamspencer.com.